you mentioned the mistakes approach inspired by Amy Edmondson's work in your book. Can you go deeper into this concept and explain how it really helps transform the perception of errors from something to hide, right, rather than a learning opportunity?
What I see whenever I give a talk, let's say in Barcelona or Berlin or in the US, I see basically two groups of business professionals. One group thinks that it's totally fine. You can make any mistake you want. It's fine. Make mistakes. We learn. And then there's another group which says making mistakes is not fine. We need to try to achieve excellence and we need to do everything as correctly as possible. So please try to avoid mistakes. Actually, none of these approaches are correct. We need to understand different mistake types and then respond accordingly. So there are 4 mistake types that I mentioned in my book. The last 2 of them are taken directly from the research of Amy Edmondson, the leading academic on the topic. And the first 2 of them I created inspired by the work of Amy Edmondson. So the 4 mistake types are unacceptable mistakes, improvable mistakes, complex mistakes, and intelligent mistakes. Let's start with the first one, unacceptable mistakes. Let's say I work in a factory. Despite all the training, resources, hardware, help, support, resources, I do not wear a safety helmet and I suffer an injury. This is an unacceptable mistake. Or let's say I work in a bank and I have access to a large amount of data. I get this data and then I sell this to third party. Again, this is an unacceptable mistake. Actually, this is a gross misconduct. And in the case of unacceptable mistakes, we need to sanction an employee and in relevant cases, consider parting ways. Of course, we need to do it in a legal way, give the option to the employee to appeal, etc. Insight number 1 about unacceptable mistakes. As leaders, as employees, we need to ensure that unacceptable mistakes do not happen at all. And in case they happen, they should happen rarely. The second mistake type is improvable mistakes. One example, we have an unfinished product or service. We present this to potential customers. The idea is to learn the shortcomings of the product or service, mistakes, errors, areas of improvement. Get this information and try to improve the product. I can give you an example. Recently, I went to one Thai restaurant with my wife. So we made our orders. We gave the orders and then 10 minutes later, the waitress came. She was excited. She put my plate in front of me and then she put the plate on my wife. And then suddenly she took the plate back. She said, sorry. And then 30 seconds later, she came back. She said, I'm sorry. We forgot to put the basil leaf on top of your rice. Sorry for this. Typical example of improvable mistake. The third mistake type is complex mistakes. Complex mistakes in many cases are caused by multiple factors. One example, real case from Netherlands. There is one patient in the hospital. The patient is a kid and one nurse gives medication to this kid, the patient. And then later, unfortunately, the kid dies. This is horrible. This is, really bad, horrible thing that can happen to a patient. At the first sight, maybe people can think it's the responsibility, it's the error of the nurse to give this medication. Maybe it was overdose, maybe it was wrong medication. So when you talk with the nurse says, the medical doctor gave me instructions on the phone. I followed the instructions totally and I gave the medication. So it's the responsibility of the medical doctor. You go and talk with the medical doctor. The medical doctor says, we have a lot of night shifts. We are really tired and this is really unbearable. We many times talk with the hospital management to improve the working conditions. They are not listening to us. This is dangerous, it affects our concentration and focus on work. So this has multiple levels of reasons: a nurse, a medical doctor, working conditions in the hospital, hospital's management, style, etc. In the case of complex mistakes, we need to analyze them systematically, understand the root causes to prevent them from happening again. In many organizations, the majority of mistakes are in improvable and complex mistakes. Intelligent mistakes are about entering into a new territory, let's say a breakthrough product or service we create. We launch this to the market. It is not that successful. Still, we get insights from the market, and next time we can make this product or service better. One visible example, Google has one project called Loon. This project is basically about using balloons to beam internet around the world. When Google started this project, they were started using different balloons, different shapes, textures, and in many cases they were failing. Some balloons were falling down, they were not successful. All these failures, mistakes, they were intelligent mistakes because it was a breakthrough idea. From each mistake, they learned, they improved the balloons, and now it's more successful. So intelligent mistakes, celebrate them. Complex mistakes, understand the root causes. Improbable mistakes, allow them. Unacceptable mistakes, warn the employee or consider parting ways. The main thing with mistakes is, in many cases, we ask the question, who made the mistake, who, and how to punish that person. Instead of these two questions, the right questions, more effective questions are, what caused this mistake? What can we learn from this to prevent it from happening again?
Yeah, those are great examples, Baha. Thank you for sharing them. And